Danny Sprinkles had a busy offseason, bringing in 2 freshmen and 8 transfers, giving him the 18th best overall incoming class in the country, the 35th best freshman class, and the 8th best transfer class, highlighted by 2 people that I think could end up on all Big Ten teams. Makai Mason is a 6'5" junior transferring from Rice. He averaged 14 points, 4 rebounds, and 2.8 assists per game last season. Overall, he's just a smooth operator on offense. He's a guy that he wants to drive a ton. He likes getting downhill. He likes getting into the paint, getting to the rim. But he's also pretty good in the mid-range area where he showed pretty good potential throughout the season. He's 6'5", but if needed can kind of be this point forward type player. Lots of drives of his are built on him just being able to go over people, which at times does cause misses near the rim when he really can't create any sort of separation. He's a solid shooter, especially when standstill. I think there's a pretty big drop off in terms of the pull-up numbers compared to his catch and shoot threes. I like how he reads the floor, and I think overall he could be a pretty good secondary facilitator, somebody that can kind of keep the ball moving, make the right plays, and just set up the offense. Defensively, he moves pretty well, and I think he could be a really good point of attack defender. So this play right here that we're going to look at is going to just kind of showcase the driving ability Mason has, being able to get downhill, operate in the paint. So he's going to be number 2 right here. And so you're going to see handoff, right, and he's going to be off ball. And this is where I think he can be an on-ball guy and kind of create that way, but he's very good off ball where he can kind of attack a bent defense. And so now as he catches it here, notice how the play design is opening up this entire area for him. You're going to have this handoff over here. There's going to be potential like pin downs on this action as they just kind of cut through. So now he has this whole time to go through. That's a really good first step. So he catches and he's just going to rip. So defender's up high, he's going to rip, get baseline, and then get all the way to the rim. If you are enjoying, please like and subscribe. Lewis Courtright is a 6'3", fifth-year point guard from Rhode Island. He averaged 10 points, 4 rebounds, and 3.7 assists per game last season. He's a guy that is just going to take what the defense gives him. He doesn't always throw people open in terms of creating opportunities for others with his passing, but he just knows where the open guy is. So he isn't going to force. He's just going to take whatever the defense gives to him, make that pass, make that play, and try to score that way. He's not crazy inefficient from 2, but he's also not a great shooter. He isn't really a great finisher at the rim, and I think if he is going to find success at this level, those numbers are going to have to bump up a bit. Now, his role will probably be decreased a little bit, so that could help there where he doesn't have to take as many tough shots. He does have a good floater, and kind of that in-between game allows him to get some points that way. He can't quite create space on drives consistently, which is why I think he has to resort to that floater. I really like him defensively, though. I think he has really good instincts on that end, and I think he's another guy that can be a very good point of attack defender on the perimeter. So on this play right here, we're going to show off some of the passing ability that he has. He's going to be right here on this wing. And so as the ball gets swung, St. Joseph's is in a zone that they're going up against, like a 3-2 type. So he's going to catch it. Good pump fake here. He gets both defenders to kind of bite on this. And so now he's going to have this opening, right? And this is where I said he's just going to take what the defense gives. Gets them to bite. So now he's going to get downhill. And from there, it's just a numbers game. So he sees, okay, this big is going to come up and kind of guard him up there. This guy over here is going to be late rotating down low. And so now he's going to see, okay, I have this wide open lob. It's not something crazy. It's not forcing a ton, but he's just able to make the right play. Zoom Diallo is a 6'4" point guard that played at Prolific Prep last season. He averaged 9.7 points, 3.7 assists, and 1.0 steals per game during his senior season. He is a very physical and big guard. As a freshman, he's going to be one of the most just kind of physically ready incoming freshmen in the entire Big Ten. He's listed at 6'4", 190, but he just plays so much bigger than that. And as a point guard, I really like his facilitating and his feel kind of with the ball. He can run pick and roll. He can kind of throw guys open. He understands rotations that the defense are going to make and just kind of waits for his guys to get open. Offensively, he gets downhill a ton, and that kind of relates back to him being a pretty big and physical guard. There isn't a ton of burst per se, but he's able to use his body to get to the rim well. Now, the jumper is a big question, and it's going to be a big swing skill for him in the future. He shot okay throughout high school, but it is a little bit of a funky jumper, and there's going to be improvements that have to come there. I think the defense is fine. It's solid enough. It's not elite, but he also isn't getting consistently burned on that end. So on this play right here, we're going to look at that kind of facilitating that Diallo has, and I think this is just a really good subtle read from him. So he's going to be the one bringing the ball up right here. And so as he brings it up, there's going to be a high ball screen, right? And going to be set pretty high up. The key is this defender right here. He is in drop coverage, and this big is going to pop. And so normally this is kind of a thing that happens anyways. So you can pop against a drop big, and you're going to get a decent shot. What I really like is he's going to hold this big. He notices the guard gets caught up on the screen, and so he just takes an extra dribble, just keeping that big a little more occupied for an extra step. And so what that does is, so now as he's kind of drawn this big out, guard's going to rotate back. He's going to give his big who popped a much cleaner look out on the perimeter because the guy can't get back, and then that's a good shot. Tyree Iheanacho is a 6'4", fifth-year point guard transferring from North Dakota. He averaged 14.5 points, 5 rebounds, and 3.9 assists per game last year. He is very fast with the ball in his hands. He is not one that's super big, but he can get downhill based off of just kind of that first step burst and just his ability to be faster than everybody else, even with the ball. He wants to drive. Consistently, he wants to get downhill, get into the paint, and either facilitate from there or try to get to the rim. He's a pretty straight line driver, but like I said, he uses that speed that he has to create those openings. Although he is a point guard and he averaged almost 4 assists a game, he still very much felt like a score first, pass second type guy. He makes good reads, but it definitely felt like he was looking to try to get to the rim. If that didn't happen, his bailout was then finding an open guy. He's another guy that I think is a good perimeter defender. I think he moves well. He's pretty quick. There's going to definitely be some matchups where teams can kind of overpower him. He isn't a great shooter, and he isn't very physical in general, which I think are two things that are going to maybe hinder his playing time a bit. So on this play right here, we're going to show off kind of that speed that he has. He's going to have the ball here. Screen is being set for him, and he's going to get a switch from this big. And so once that happens, he's just going to kind of space out, clear everybody out, and now he's going to go to work. And like I said, the jumper isn't great, so he wants to drive. And now just size him up and then just get downhill. He does a good job kind of creating some leverage here. That isn't something that he always does, but he's just so fast. He's able to kind of put the defense in a bind. I mean, you can see the defense clearly following him right here. It doesn't matter though, because he's able to get the and one. Jace Butler is a 6'4" freshman combo guard who played at Branson in California last season. He averaged 20.6 points, 4.0 assists, and 7.0 rebounds per game. He's another guy that he just constantly wants to drive the ball. He gets downhill and into the paint a ton, and he's a guy that maybe isn't super bursty or isn't overly athletic and strong, but he moves at his own pace. He's able to kind of use his strength, get 2 feet in the paint, and can just use kind of subtle movements to get the defense off of their game. He has okay touch on floaters, which he kind of resorts to a lot, and I think the jump shot itself has upside, but he did shoot in the low 30s from 3 in high school. To me, he doesn't feel like a primary facilitator, although he can make plenty of good reads. He's probably a pretty good 2 guard in terms of being able to keep advantages going, keep defenses moving, although if he doesn't have to always be the one to set the table for everybody else. I think he has good upside defensively, although he'll probably struggle with quicker guards, especially at first. In this clip, we'll show Butler being able to get downhill, so he's going to have the ball up top here, and he's going to get a pick and roll. And so high pick and roll, pretty high set, and he's just going to get downhill. You can see defender's kind of in drop coverage, although it doesn't seem great. He's just going to be able to refuse it, noticing that as I rewind, the defender's just going to try to cheat up over the top, sets him up, does a good job crossing over and getting downhill, and then once he has a little space, he kind of has the strength to be able to get his way all the way to the rim. It has to translate against Big Ten guys, which is going to take a little bit of time, but here, gets downhill, and so you can see, defense doesn't rotate, and he's just going to able to get all the way to the rim. Great Osobor is a 6'8" senior center transferring from Utah State following his head coach. He averaged 17.7 points, 9.0 rebounds, and 2.8 assists per game last season. He's going to be one that works in the post-up and kind of down low a lot, but he works from all 3 areas of the paint, both blocks and in the middle. More than anything in the post, he wants to get over the right shoulder where he has really good touch, but he has this kind of ability to also face up and drive, especially against kind of bigger guys that have a little bit slower foot speed. He moves well offensively, is just kind of being able to shimmy his way to the rim. Now, he does really struggle on shots outside of the rim. He doesn't have great touch. He doesn't really have a jumper at all, but he's so good down low that at times it doesn't matter. Also, with the movement, he's pretty solid as a roller. He gets to the free throw line a ton because he just puts so much pressure at the rim. On defense, he's a solid enough rim protector. I think he's on the shorter side for centers in the Big Ten, but he has quick hands in general, and I think that can kind of make up for some of it. And he was the go-to guy for a good Utah State team, and that's going to probably transfer over to Washington. This play will kind of show off his ability in the post, having that good touch, having that good footwork. So he's going to be right here, number one. They're going to be in a horn set, and so he's just going to kind of drop, and the other big's going to pop. The guard right here is going to eventually post up. All this is trying to do is eventually get him the ball in the middle. And so that's going to happen here, and now he can just go one-on-one. So he catches it, and you can see kind of the space he has to work with. Feels this guy, he knows that right when he caught it, he knew that this was the area that he wanted to get to. And so now as he gets there, he kind of sets up the defender, and he can get back to that right shoulder, which he loves to do. Good touch, good footwork overall. KC Ibekwe is a 6'10" junior center transferring from Oregon State. He averaged 5 points and 4 rebounds and 18.1 minutes per game last season. He is a very big dude. He's listed at 287 pounds, but at that size, 6'10", 287, he moves much better than expected. I think there's 3 things that he's really going to do, and that's kind of what he's built his career on. He's going to get on the offensive glass, he's going to defend the rim, and he's going to shoot layups and dunks at the rim. He doesn't have great touch around the rim, and he really does have to rely on that size that he has, but he is a very, very good offensive rebounder. He also is a very good rim protector. He has good timing and just kind of the ability to be at the rim, especially if he's in a system where he can kind of sit near the rim and not have to defend out on the perimeter. If he is going to play big minutes, which I wouldn't expect being paired next to Great Asabor, but he's going to have to limit the foul trouble. He gets in it a lot in his limited minutes. I think in general, some of the decision making and the touch needs to improve. If those things improve, he has a ton of upside because not many dudes his size get some of the post looks he does and move how he does. This play will show a post up from Ibekwe right here. So he's going to be the big man down here. And so as he gets the ball right there, it's going to be one-on-one coverage. And this is where it's going to be like pretty good footwork and just not something you always expect from a guy at his size. So 1 dribble, 2 dribbles to really kind of bully the defender. And that's something he's very good at too. He understands how to use his size, how to leverage it to get the defender off kind of balance. And you can see there, he's stumbling. And so now as soon as the defender stumbles, that's when he's going to get back to the layup, get under the rim and get a good shot. Tyler Harris is a 6'8" sophomore small forward transferring from Portland. He averaged 12.1 points, 7.3 rebounds, and a steal a game. He is very athletic, but he's also very raw in terms of skills. He wasn't efficient really from anywhere on the floor. He did have probably the most success for himself inside of the paint, specifically when he could rise up over defenders. And at 6'8", being very athletic, that can happen a lot. He doesn't create a ton of separation as a straight line driver, again, kind of relying on that athleticism to carry him to the rim. I would love to see him be used more as a cutter. I think kind of if you can take the pressure of having to create for himself out of his hands, instead use that athleticism, that size as something more of an off ball, getting him moving towards the rim, I think he could be very good. The shot was very clunky, but it was also a very small sample size last year from the perimeter. Now, I think defensively, he has a ton of upside and just a ton of versatility to that side of his game. But like most of his game, it just kind of needs to be realized he just needs more rep and more time to develop. This play is going to look at him being able to attack a closeout. Now, in addition to cutting, I think him just being able to attack closeouts will also be big. So this is going to be him on this weak side corner. And so as the post up happens, skip pass, and you can see defender is going to kind of close out hard to his right foot. And so Harris is just going to attack. He's going to attack this kind of inside foot right here, get baseline. And now with that athleticism, he's going to be able to get kind of into his move, into his spot. He does a great job here getting into that spin, still staying on balance, and then getting a tough finish to go. Like, there's a ton of potential with this guy. It's just going to have to be kind of realized. Chris Conway is a 6'9" fifth-year center transferring from Oakland. He averaged 10.0 points, 4.1 rebounds, and 1.3 assists per game. He is very much a post-up big. He has good touch around the rim where he got most of his shots. He's also very comfortable getting to hooks, even like 4, 6, 8 feet away from the rim. More than anything, when he is posting up, he wants to get over the left shoulder, really on either block. That's what he's going to try to get to. He has solid footwork overall, and he's a good cutter, although I think that part of that was just being in the system he was in. He doesn't get a ton of rebounds, but consistently he was boxing out. He's a good free throw shooter, which is always important to have at that position. Defensively, he was just tasked with being a pure rim protector, and I thought he was fine, but I am concerned about it translating to the Big Ten a bit. This play here will look at one of the post-ups I was talking about, so this is going to be Conway right here, and as the play happens, he's just going to fill out to the strong side block. And so now as he gets it, it's going to be one-on-one going to work. And so you're going to see as he backs down, creates space, he always wants to get back to the left shoulder. Now he has good touch going over the left shoulder, so it makes sense, but more than anything, that's what he wants to get to. Even here, you can see he's a couple feet away. He's going to be fading. He likes as long as he can kind of get in this area, it's going to be a pretty good shot from him. This one, he does get to go. And lastly, DJ Davis. He's a 6'1", fifth-year combo guard transferring from Butler. He averaged 13.5 points, 3.2 rebounds, 2.6 assists, and 1.1 steals per game. He is a bucket. He is very comfortable creating off the dribble, although I do like him a bit off ball better, and I think he can kind of fit in with some of these primary facilitators that Washington has. He's very, very comfortable shooting off movement with also very, very good range with the shot. He's a good shooter. At times he does struggle a little bit shooting off the dribble, but he has really good touch on floaters. He can facilitate, and I think I do trust it. I don't know if I expect him to be the primary point guard, but I wouldn't be shocked if he is. Off-ball defense is solid. His on-ball defense isn't great. He's definitely more offensive focused in terms of what he brings, but to me, he's just, with his ability to legitimately score at all three levels, make a ton of threes, like, he's going to be a guy that I could see averaging 15 to 17 points a game, depending on kind of just how he's used within the roster. This play is going to show off the shooting ability that Davis does have. So ball's going to go into the post. He's going to be right here, and this is going to be kind of like a post split. So he passes in, and then he's going to get this flare screen from right here. So he's just going to kind of flare back out to the three-point line. Defender is going to be a step late getting through it, and this is where Davis can just be himself and attack. So he can either, as he catches this, he's going to either have space to be able to drive and try to create, or he's just such a good shooter that he's just going to catch and let this one rip and then make it. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe, and click here to see the UCLA newcomers preview.